Hainanese is the most incredible slow-cooked chicken with rice and lots of different sauces. And every time I go to Singapore, it's the first thing I do. They do it incredibly. And when you do go to Singapore, you usually find it in open-air food courts. But you know what? You can make it at home, and chicken skin, once it's rendered down, is the most delicious thing with rice. So I'm taking a little bit of the excess fat away from the cavity, and we'll reserve that for our rice later. Now the chicken can go straight into our pressure cooker. And then for the aromatic flavours, well, you have to have lots of garlic and ginger. So ginger, this one's quite young, so I'm not going to peel it, but what I will do is slice it into chunks. So in with a nice big handful of fresh ginger, and we'll scatter that around. You can even place a little bit in the cavity. One whole bulb of garlic that I'll cut horizontally, so in half, skin and all, and that can go in. And spring onions, I'll use half a bunch, and I want to use the green part and not the white part. Now this I want to use later on for a sauce, so we'll reserve that. So just the green part of the spring onions, so much flavour in this, so in. And then some coriander. The coriander leaves I'll use as a garnish later on, but for now I just want to use the stalks and the roots. Again, so much flavour. We'll cut them in half. I've given the roots a really good wash under some water so we don't have any dirt or sand there. And one long red chilli that I will cut in half straight down the centre, seeds and all too, and that can go in. Now we need to season this a little bit, so a pinch of salt over the chicken and again into the cavity. I like to add a splash of soy sauce too, and some Shaoxing wine, which is some Chinese cooking wine. And now we need quite a lot of water to just cover the chicken. And the last thing I'll add is some star anise. And now the lid can go on the pressure cooker. We'll close that, turn it on to a high heat, and once it comes to pressure, I'll turn it down and continue cooking it for about half an hour, and just wait until you see this chicken. It's going to be falling off the bone. In the meantime, we can get on to a delicious ginger and garlic sauce. We'll just cut another knob of ginger. This is about 2 to 3 centimetre piece of ginger in, along with 2 cloves of garlic, and the spring onions, the light green part and the white green part, that can now go in to our food processor to finish off this sauce. Now what I'm going to do is start to chop this in the food processor. Then once it's really finely chopped, I'll add a few more ingredients to it. Okay, wow, that smell is incredible. And you can see how finely chopped that is. That's what we're looking for. You want it to almost become a paste after you start to add the liquid. I will be adding some chicken stock to this later, but for now we can get a head start by adding a little bit of oil, so vegetable oil, and for some saltiness, some soy sauce. And then again, I'll give it another blend, and we'll just place it to the side until that chicken stock is ready, and then we can add just a few tablespoons to it just to finish the sauce off. Now I reserved that little bit of fat for a reason, because there's so much flavour in it, and you can see that it's just rendering down. Now once you've got about a tablespoon of it, you can remove the chicken fat and we can discard that. And now we can start frying the onion. Now this is the chicken rice that goes with our Hainanese chicken. So you need to soften your onions. Don't get too much colour on the onions. Essentially, we just want them to become really, really sweet. I'll also add a little pinch of salt at this stage. Now, while that's softening, let's have a look at this chook and the broth. I've released the steam on the pressure cooker, so it's now safe to take the lid off and have a look at that. Now I need to remove the chicken from the stock, and you'll see, because it's been cooking for half an hour under pressure, it is so soft it falls apart. That's fine, and you know what, that just means that it's just so tender and moist. So I'll start taking the legs and the thighs from the pot, and then the breast and the wings, they can come away together. Now we'll just place this down, and with a pastry brush and a little bit of sesame oil, we'll just coat it in the oil, a few teaspoons, and then brush it all over the chicken. Okay, so these onions have softened, so we can add some jasmine rice that I've rinsed. And we'll just coat it in that chicken fat and the onions to give it some really nice flavour. And now we can add our broth that has so much flavour from the ginger and the spring onions and the garlic. So just with a ladle, we'll add the chicken stock. You want it to cover the rice. And then what I'm going to do is bring it to the boil, turn it down completely, pop a lid on, and this is going to take 15 to 20 minutes to cook on a low heat. Now this chicken has been sitting here for 15 minutes. It's still nice and warm and I can smell the sesame oil that I've placed on it. So now it's time to plate up. So I'll just remove the cling film. And now this is very traditional where you get a nice big plate like this or a tray, and then all the little elements come together on the plate. So you can have a little bit of the soup, some rice and the chicken, and then the broth can go in. You can add some of the spring onions in here or a little bit of the ginger, that's completely fine. And now for the rice, have a look at this. It's absorbed all of the liquid. It's ready to go. And I'll just grab a spoon. We'll place some of this rice into a bowl. And then we still haven't finished off our ginger sauce. So just a little ladleful of our broth into the sauce. I like it to be hot, so we get a really nice pungent smell from that ginger. Mix it together. And now this sauce can go into another bowl. And now for the chicken. Well, my favourite part would have to be the thigh and the chicken leg. You can leave the skin on, that's very traditional. And we'll just clean up the leg. And then we'll place that onto the plate along with another thigh. And now this is not complete without the traditional salad, a combination of cucumber and tomato and some extra spring onions and some coriander. All of these fantastic flavours that go with it, almost cleanse the palate after you've had the chicken rice and the chicken. So just a few cucumber pieces cut on an angle, some nice thin slices of tomato, and the spring onions. I'll leave them quite chunky but cut on an angle. And then we'll just grab our little pieces of vegetable and then place them near the chicken. A little bit of that coriander over the top. This is one of those dishes that has it all, from the sauces, the soup, rice, and that beautiful, moist, tender chicken.